solve the problem. No. I have a video, but I won't give to anybody because the cost promotion is small. So I want the people to monitor this back and forth. The one making money, the people that are selling the machine, even themselves, is other people.
We can't hear you.
I can't hear that. Sorry, Sharif. It's really muffled.
He's blaming the central bank that you're the one making the money and you're the one regulating the sector, and yet it's not going out. So,
any other comments, social media?
Okay, I was going to take one quickly. Sultan says the masses are the worst hit by this cash scarcity. The masses use low denominations more. The central bank and the banks should start to push out 100, 50 naira, 20 naira, and 10 naira and 5 naira notes in their vaults and print more lower notes. That should take care of the crisis, as him suggesting.
Suggested downwards.
All right, we have to wrap up on this, but I think that's all we can take on this segment. You know, I'm hoping that, I think I read in the paper somewhere that the cards, ATM cards, we are the ones that we can actually manage without so much cash on our hands. But there's a band of Nigerians who desperately need that cash. Based on the data that the banks have, you have to be able to trace and know this business. Many of these banks already have relationships with their customers. They know everybody who is banking with them, the kind of person is banking with them. You can have an idea who needs the cash, and those should be prioritized over the rich folks or that is calling you and saying, please send 10 million naira to my account. Sure. That is what we are telling you. That's where you become a patriot. That's where you become a Nigerian. That's where you become, your humanity comes and say, you know what, these guys are more priority than those. That's all.
So, have you ever wondered what happens behind the curtains of a man's mind? Or perhaps you're one of those who wonder what men talk about when they gather. Well, here goes. Imagine what it takes to put together the perfect cocktail. Or maybe mocktail. We need a bit of sports, a sprinkling of current affairs, some very deep topical issues, and last but not the least, a healthy dose of grumbling of those we love to hate. And yes, you guessed it, women. So, if you catch the drift, then you're onto something. We will provide you with the right insights into most of your curiosities right here within this beautiful cocktail we call the Black Table.
Doubt and fear doesn't occur at the canvas, it shows in the canvas. It shows the conation of raw earthen material slabbed, stroked and molded at a pace provided by the doubt and fear. Every move way in the struggle of one to the other, merging the past to the present, brushstrokes of colors seen but not known. For when the wailing stops, the pieces settle down in abject beauty erected for a century of a century. Speaking, advocating, protesting as the arts are meant to be.
It's not just web, but who wouldn't you want to work with?
Yes, that's on that angle.
So Laifa had a very, very interesting...
You wouldn't want to work with who? Not
There's no judgment.
No, and I
Oh, they'll
respect,
judge you
I
definitely,
respect
but we
this
won't judge
certain type of people. But what I dislike so much is when they tend to come to work and then they pour all their
Resentment from
on
whom?
you. Is it me that offended you? I'm not the one. I have no business. Mom just come and work with you, pay me at the end of the month, and let me go back to my house in peace and sleep. But when it comes to like divorced people, I cannot work with a divorcee. I can't see myself doing that. If I find out, if you can hide it or not, but if I find out,
When they're nice divorcees.
I would just
What if they are nice?
Okay, now it depends. If you are nice, cool. But if you are the type that you don't know how to keep your anger to yourself, you always pour it on somebody. Well, I'll just drop my resignation letter, no matter the amount you're paying me.
So it's more passive-aggressive people.
Yeah, I can't do it. I'm so sorry.
Oh, definitely.
And I cannot work with stingy people.
See this one.
Because you cannot be passing me in the morning, afternoon. I can say, oh, hi, yeah, I'm okay. Oh, yeah, take 100 naira, take 10K, take 15K. You don't have to be my sugar daddy or sugar mommy. See, the way you treat others is the way they will treat you outside. And if you cannot treat your workers well, they are not a good boss. If you cannot be dashing me small thing or giving me donuts when I'm working.
Thanks for staying with us. So earlier today we had seen a front page paper of Punch where children, primary school, public school pupils were sitting on the floor. And then begs the question of where is the UBEC funding, the support funding for basic education across the country? Where is it going? And what are the plans for also the state governments and the local government to ensure they have, they provide adequate infrastructure for basic education? That's our conversation. You can call us on the numbers on your screen, 081-270-536-870-91390-7694. You can also tweet us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweet. As Nima said earlier, we'll not talk too much about the Lagos states or the states that are actually having serious intervention, because I know that Edo is one. Edo state, Lagos states are one of the two states. Even Kwara states, many of them are doing quite a bit, but the conversation is really more around UBEC, because their job is to support the basic education and also local governments. What are your thoughts on this? You can call us on those numbers on the screen. Maybe who would like to go first? I mean, it's quite sad, and to even help set the tone, I was trying to do some research, and UBEC was signed into law 2004. And it was an intervention fund. So what they do is they take 2% of the cumulative statutory releases from the federal government, and that's where they get their money from. Now, the states must show they can actually have a counterpart funding. So if I give you the money, if you can show in your account that you can afford it, then they give you a counterpart funding, and then you have that to fund basic education. You can now use that for infrastructure. What many people don't know is that when UBEC
did not have enough teachers, the management of the school had to source teachers outside who were paid by parents. So the students will come to school under a free primary basic education policy only for their parents to end up paying.
Hey.
Edo particularly that you talked about, they pay about 1,500 naira in a public school in Ibienafe, in my own local government.
Don't spoil our time. To do what?
1,500 naira per student.
To do what?
For school fees.
It's illegal. It's wrong.
But it's happening.
It's
Who would investigate this allegation I received? The state government. So as I said, we will not spare Edo. We have schools in Edo, in Edo North, where students sit on the floor. We have schools that have not received funding. So let's not even talk about that one. Let's just talk about this one. This Punch report also showed that, the state of toilets in that school is worse than you can imagine.
Classroom. Is it toilet you want to have?
Oh, you don't have classroom.
I'll bring people from Edo, especially because I think Edo has the best.
Give me somebody from my own place. Let me talk to the UBEC, whatever, who is in charge of Edo North, who is in charge of EBA, who is in charge of South EBA. I want that person to call me.
Okay, no problem. We'll get them for you. But so let's talk about education and funding, basic education.
It feels like today is a lamentation Monday on the show, because we just finished lamenting banks and now we're lamenting education. Obviously, we have a challenge with our educational structure within Nigeria. Our government hasn't prioritized it enough. There's a lot of lip service, a lot of promise and commitment to the educational sector, but we're not saying it. When it comes to diction, when it comes to speaking, when it comes to arithmetic, it is done and finished in primary school. If somebody is going to speak well, it's from primary school. If their maths will be good, it's from primary school. If they would love reading, it's from primary school. Which for me shows how important the primary school system is. And yet we have not prioritized the primary education enough as a country. And we hear that I took a story a few years ago, like I'm sure it was sometime in 2021, where there was a report about some states that have not accessed UBEC funds because they did not provide counterpart funding. And that state governor is campaigning, probably wants to move from state governor to being in the Senate right now. even though you have not accessed UBEC funds that is available for you because you do not provide counterpart funding.
Yes.
We have not.
And you can't provide counterpart funding if you don't have IGR to meet revenue, to make match it. So if you don't have
IGR,
I'm just
saying, don't mix it. Don't bring IGR inside this matter.
It's part of it now because why? If I listen,
they get state allocation.
No, listen, Dr. Naira. If I get a state allocation, this amount, I'm paying salaries. I'm doing health. I'm doing infrastructure. I'm doing other things.
Counterpart funding must equal the amount you're expected to get.
Exactly.
Why did they make that policy so?
So that each state is
a gift.
State is meant to fund education.
Yes.
The UBEC is supporting the state. So if I give you 2 billion, you must also provide 2 billion so that the schools would access 5 billion.
If I have 2 billion, why will I be coming to you in the first place?
You're missing the point.
You are meant to do it. It's your responsibility.
If you have this,
I'm supporting you.
I will then give you this one.
Okay, to add to it.
An intervention. Okay.
Yes. So now you are now saying, I don't have. Sorry, no, that I'm bringing the IGR. I don't have this IGR, so I won't do this. But I'll get my allocation, and my priority will be to pay salaries. You be governor soon.
Not be governor.
You see what it is?
So you not join IGR.
So the thing is, we don't prioritize education for whatever reason. If this Western education don't tire us, we should find a way to do traditional education.
Even now, I need money.
No. Let's even start from somewhere. At least me, I read nursery school with slate. It was slate that was used. And chalk. Yes, it was slate and chalk that was used. And I learned in my local language and all of that. So if we cannot do Western education, that probably we do not have the resources for it, or we are not ready for it, can we go back to traditional means of education?
In the past, local government exclusively was in charge of basic education. It doesn't concern states. It doesn't concern anybody. Because the rule, true and true, local government, you're my local government chairman. It's your job to make sure that the schools, neighborhood schools, are functioning. They were not doing their job. So federal government now said, let us start a funding to support you. It's an intervention. So how much are you putting aside for the education? Whatever it is, okay, this is the fund. We're able to get 2% of the cumulative for federal government.
State government.
Yes.
Yeah. They took over state local government funds. We see they fight for the local government autonomy. Sign into law, they're not agree. Houses of Assembly refuse. So this local government, let's leave them. They cannot. But what is your budget? If your budget for education is 20 million, for instance, 2 million should be for UBEC, Abi. If you say you have tertiary other levels of education, make us share and equal.
Yeah.
Okay, that your 2 million when you give for UBEC now, is for your own super, your state. But UBEC can then
support another 2 million.
But you are saying that's not your priority. You are saying you have
want to do roads
because you don't have IGR. The one that they are giving you from federal, what are you going to do with it?
They will build airports. So
they build airports.
And then you are growing a population of uneducated, uninformed young children.
Yes, so
breathing time bomb.
They are moving parts.
For your children.
They are moving parts.
So Nigerian, they destroy the buildings and the edifice you build around. So when we prioritize physical projects beyond human development, we are showing that a better life.
Okay, let me take this comment, which I think is really important for Mr. Tijani. He says that, "Sis, good morning, how are you? Trust you, staff, UBEC is a fraud. Staff working there are contractors only interested in money for their pockets and not any intervention fund." He says that UBEC is funded by 2% consolidation fund of all revenue made by the federal government. Money is not the problem of UBEC, but total sanitation and overhauling of the place. And that's why I say we must do a review. You've had UBEC since 2004 was signed into law. Between 2004 and today, can we review how effective has UBEC been? The money you've given for states, what have you done with it?
Based on this punch report, we have reviewed UBEC. Because the place you can rate UBEC easy the most is in the federal capital.
And exactly. We don't share with our toilets.
This report says
let me shock you for a second.
Leaky roofs. So tell us, which one are you using to pay salary? Who is it? Is it the funding you use to pay teacher salary or provide infrastructure? They say the library in that school is as carcasses, torn books.
Yes. Let me shock you, Nima. This UBEC, they are trying to say how they can extend it, possibly, to secondary school.
They've not succeeded in primary school.
So the problem is that we've not even seen how effective you've been in the primary school. Because they see how juicy, it's juicy. I send you money. Out of the money I give to you, BBC, as UBEC, I can say 40% or 20% of it was going to administrative. I'm going to send you books. Books I don't need. For example, Lagos State now, the books they use,
belong to the state. Why is the state not shouting? Why is the state not making noise? What is UBEC? UBEC is just coming to support. So leave UBEC out of it. What is the state doing about their citizens, their children who are not going to school? But everybody's minding their business. After all, our own children are in their abroad. Everybody's minding their business. Let all our children come back here. Let us see if they are going to school, especially in that Abuja, if they are going to school in uncompleted buildings.
So while we know that the UBEC might have their own internal, like when we research TET shortcomings, if you look at TET funds too, the university will tell you that TET funds started well. They did a lot of huge projects, but after a while, the Nigerian factor enters into the contract. So we're not seeing equal amount of, like if they spend $1 billion, what you see on ground is not worth $1 billion. That can also be the case with UBEC. But UBEC themselves in 2020, still last year, said that 50% of schools in Nigeria lack furniture. So, and they can't do anything on their own. UBEC is not meant to intervene. UBEC is meant to provide counterpart funding. So if states don't bring out money and say, give us funds, they cannot do it. Serap highlighted Abia State, highlighted Kwara State, many states in Nigeria. Majority of the states in Nigeria have not accessed the counterpart UBEC funding from as far back as 2019. And this report was released in 2022.